Hi everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to draw a wolf howling at the moon step by step. So to begin with, I'm going to start by drawing a large circle for the moon in the background. I'm going to be using a bowl because I want my moon to be a perfect circle. So I'm just going to trace the bowl. You can use a bowl or a plate or any circle that you can use as a template also. So once I'm done drawing my moon, I can start by drawing a circle right onto the left of the moon. That's going to be for the wolf's head. And then I can draw a large rectangle right above the circle for the snout. Since the wolf is howling, the rectangle should be bigger. So it looks like the two snouts are joined together. But later on, I'm going to add more details to make it look more like a snout. Now I'm going to add two necklines, one curved one going off to the left and another one going off a bit to the right. And now I can add two triangles. Triangles are going to be tilted because the ears are down. And the other triangle is going to be half hidden. Later on, I'm going to make this neckline and head thicker. But for now, I can add the more details. I can add the details that will make this wolf look like, well, a wolf. So, I can draw a curve, and the curve goes down like this. It kind of looks like an S, a very thin S. And then I can curve it in and add the bottom of the mouth. And I can also add the top of the mouth. I can also add a small rectangle or triangle, whichever you prefer, for the nose. And I can come back in, and then I'm going to make the head flatter, and then it goes out like that. And then I'm going to start tracing from where I left off here. And it's the wolf's head is going to go out a bit. And then the neck is going to go out more, like that. So now I can erase the things or the old lines that weren't needed, including the circles and the rectangle. Except do not erase the moon. The moon will still be needed. But do not erase the triangles since we have not finished with the ears. So for the ears, I'm going to add a curve and then another curve like this. And then the ears are going to curve this way, straight. And then curve back in, and then a small curve with a line next to it, and do the same thing here. And then for the other ear, I'll do the same thing except just add a curve. And now I can go into more finer details. So I'm going to erase this very lightly so that it still shows. And then I'm going to take a darker pencil, like an HB, and start tracing the finer details. So I can just retrace to make it fine, those lines fine. And then once I have traced the lines I have already drawn, except for the mouth, then I can continue by using a 4H. So I can take my 4H and start adding more details to the mouth. Well, the mouth is very hard for some. So I will teach you a very easy method to drawing a mouth of an animal such as a dog or a wolf. So I am going to erase this, and then I'm going to bring this curve in, curve it just inwards a bit, and then curve it down. And then that curve is going to go around, and instead of staying like that, it's going to be more 3D, and I'm going to add the inside of the mouth. I know some of you may be wondering, why would we add the inside? Well, if you want your wolf to be realistic, then it will be better to add the inside. Without the inside of the mouth, the wolf will look 2D. And having a 2D wolf isn't great. It doesn't really look like a wolf if it's 2D. So I'm going to add a curved line, and then I'm going to flatten this curve down just a bit, like that. Now I can erase this part, just the top, and I can add 2 teeth sticking out, like that. It's not going to be touching because the gums around the mouth are needed. The gums can just be a little bit lumpy, like this. It doesn't need to be perfect. So the gums can be like that. And then I am going to make these details finer and make sure no lines are overlapping. So I'm going to retrace the teeth like that. And then I can add 2 teeth above to make it look more realistic, like that. It may look like there's only one, but I added a small curve next to the first tooth to make it look more 3D too. Now I can add a large curve right at the end curve of the mouth. And the reason I did this is because there is a small piece of skin right at the end of the mouth, and it's only visible when a dog or a wolf opens its mouth. And now I can add the tongue. And then adding the tongue is easy. To make it look like a tongue, I'm just adding lines. And then I can add the details of the nose and the whiskers. So for the nose, I can start by making this nose look more like a nose instead of a blank thing. So I am going to start by just tracing the outline of the nose, which looks more like a rectangle. And then, once I have done that, I can start by adding the whiskers. I can add the nose details later. So for the whiskers, I can add dots just around the edge of the snout, and then add whiskers curving into each other. And add small curves on the other side too. Like that. And then, after adding these curves, I can add the eye. So for the eye may be hard, but what I can do is I can use my reference of common sense of how a wolf should look. And if you do not know how a wolf should look, then you can look at pictures. So a wolf has its eye, or should have its eye, right below the nose, far right where the snout starts curving up towards the head. So the eye should be one like this, a curve, and then it curves back up like that. And then right here, there is some fur, like a middle line of fur, and it goes all the way down here. Now I can start working on the ears. The ears, so for the ears, I can add some hair, and then I can add more hair. And I can add hair inside, just very lightly, like that. And then for the other ear, I can just make this other ear a bit hairier. And then I can start by adding some fur details. So for the fur details, I can add the markings of this wolf. So for the markings of this wolf, I can add a line. Later I can add the fur details. So I can erase the line that's drawn for the eye, and I can add a diagonal line right next to the eye. Then it goes up, goes sideways, and then it goes down, and then it goes up, and then back down, and then into this bottom snout here. If you want, you can already add some fur lines, but you don't have to. So I'm just adding a few fur lines, and then I can add some fur around here, and around here, and add some fur here, and some fur here, some fur here, just around wherever I want, just like that. And now I can add very, very fine details before I start my shading. So I can add fur here, and then I can erase this line here. And I'm just gonna erase it until it's not visible. Like that. And then I'm going to make the inside fur lines very light for now. And I'm actually going to make the whole entire wolf very light because I'm going to use pencil to make the fur lines. So I don't want darker lines that appear above the fur. I'm making it look like the fur is overlapping with some guidelines. So for the fur, well, before I begin with the fur, I will take a 2B and start by tracing the things that need to be traced. So I'm going to start by tracing the eye, and I'm going to make the eye thicker so then it shows up. It looks more like an eye. And then I'm going to, well, just add the dots by the nose. Well, I'm going to speed the rest of the shading, but I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of everything. So for the nose, you can do some small shading and do it light. Well, not exactly lightly, but make sure there's a small light piece here to make it look like a reflection. And then kind of dot it to make it look more like a nose. And I'm going to continue on that for a bit. And for the mouth, you can add shading where it's needed. And you can add shading around the teeth and the gums. And also, I'm going to add the 2 markings around the eyes. Just these 2 markings like this. And then once I have done that, I can start by tracing all the fur lines and all those things. So I'm going to speed this part up, and now I will begin. Okay, now I am going to show you how to shade the moon. And if anybody was wondering how you would add the fur textures to your wolf, you have to start by drawing small little lines and build up off of that to make it look more realistic. For example, I can just add really tiny lines and build off to make bigger lines to make it look like fur. And it has to be going in the direction of the fur, which is down. So for the moon, I am going to take a 3B and start tracing the outside of the moon, making sure I still stay with my traced perfect circle. And then I'm going to take a giant blender and start blending the edges. And also the parts around the wolf. And I'm going to continue blending that part around the wolf. And around the brim of the moon, making sure that the middle looks brighter, which is how it's supposed to look. If you want, you don't have to go so dark all around the edges of the moon on the top, but that's what I am doing. I'm just gonna finish shading all around the moon, and then once I am done, just going to erase some not so fine details and retrace the moon very carefully by using a 2B. And then I'm going to trace the hair around the wolf one more time. Small details all around this wolf. And I'm also going to add some details here, making sure the fur looks like fur. I'm also going to use my 2B and I'm going to blend this. Add more textures. And then I am done. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!